Okay.
They're
getting.
Bad. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining us. And I first wanted to welcome Sinan, our new Public Works Director. Would you like to say anything before we get started?
Yeah, I assumed the position on the 19th of August, and so I've been here for about a month.
Welcome.
Yes, thank
Awesome.
you. Very happy to be here. Previously served privately as well as in University City for a duration of time in two pieces for a total of about 16 years, and in public works also at different roles. Liaised with the Green Practices Commission in University City, so had some work done, completed some energy efficiency projects and other initiatives in the community, and among other public works type of work. I'm a civil engineer by trade, and have practiced in transportation, roadways, public rights of way, public works services type of environment for some time. Did some engineering work in the private industry as well. So that's my background. I am located at the service center. My office is there, and I work with the street division and our facilities, fleet sections of work also. Yeah, that's about me. I'm here. I will actually attend the meetings going forward with Sean Finnegan. But now I'm here. She's out. She's returning to the office tomorrow, so I'm actually the only one.
Right. Great. Well, great to have you, and good to meet you as well. And then we also have Councilmember Hickson Shepherd coming in for Councilmember Bliss. So we're grateful to have you join us.
Thanks. Good to be here.
All right. So I tell you, we are if someone wouldn't mind, I know we just got a resignation letter from Andrea, who is our commission secretary. I don't know if someone would mind keeping minutes.
I'll do it.
And we'll take up we'll find a replacement.
Sure.
Next month as well. And for approval of minutes, this because I took them last time and I have them. I need to format everything. So we'll do August's minutes at the October meeting. Next item here is visitor comments. We have visitors. Would you like to introduce yourself? Or?
Yes, I'm Lydia, one of the city fellowship here. I came from Myanmar to learn all of the sustainable initiative from the city of Westerville.
Oh, great. Well, welcome.
Excuse me, which country?
Myanmar, next to
Myanmar.
Thailand. Yes, have you been there?
I haven't, but
You know about that?
you got like a terrible winter that's killing everybody.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
Hi, I'm Patty. I'm from Laos. I'm one of the young professional on Southeast Asia Fellowship. I got a YCA program, the same program with Lydia. So from Laos, I joined to learning about the sustainable development in Westerville, and I'm working for the NGO in Laos to support the Lao government to develop the national strategy of the green coal development. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
I think there was a nice piece about you in the Webster Kirkwood Times recently. So I feel like we all know you a little bit.
Right.
They're here for a month and we're very happy.
Okay, great. That's great. Okay, the next item is staff liaison update. Sinan, anything to?
I actually don't have an update, but Sean in general gave me the three tasks that the commission was working on recently as composting initiative, the greenhouse gas inventory, and the Green Dining Alliance programs. And so I know the greenhouse gas inventory, the study analysis results is going to council on the 15th. So there will be a discussion about that. And there was a recent information session about that also at the library. If I add, yep, and yeah, other than that, I don't have much of an update. But yeah, I'm here to support with any tasks or initiatives that the commission has.
Great, well, thank you. And Councilmember Hickson Shepherd.
So kind of maybe three big things going on with council. One is the comprehensive plan continues, so that's still underway. It's about a year plus project. So we'll continue to have engagement sessions and things like that. They have been publishing some updates on journey2wg.com. So if you're interested to see what survey results or things like that, those are published and out there. The stormwater plan is we got an interim report on that at the last council meeting. So if you are interested in that, and I mean, I would be interested in it if I hadn't been in the room. It was during the work session, so the beginning part of the most recent council meeting. And Intuition and Logic,
yes,
right, is our contractor for that. And so someone from that organization gave a great rundown of like the scope and you know, what they're kind of looking at and coming up with kind of some review criteria to figure out like how to prioritize different projects and things like that. They have some additional work that they're going to be doing, and then they'll come back with a final report. But it was a pretty comprehensive interim report, I would say. So definitely worth watching that. And then the third thing is there will be 2 charter amendments on the ballot in April. One of those is to add in a section about basically saying that community engagement and public engagement is important to the city. So it's pretty short, basically says that. But we wanted to kind of codify the importance of that. And the other one is council compensation, which feels a little weird to talk about when you're on council. But it hasn't changed since the 1950s. It's the same rate. It's like $25 per meeting for council member and $30, I think, for the mayor, up to a cap of a few $100 a year. So the Charter Review Advisory Board, as part of their full review of the charter, that was one of the topics that they looked at, and they surveyed other cities and came up with a recommendation. And so that topic will be on the agenda or on the ballot in April as well.
Right. And with the stormwater update or the stormwater report, what will happen to that going forward? Will it then be up to the council to prioritize certain projects?
Yeah, so part of it is that it actually sounds like it kind of comes with a prioritization tool, which sounds pretty robust and easy to keep up. So we can add more projects over time as things come up. But yeah, they'll be kind of given a score, looked at a prior, and then we'll have to figure out what to do when. And he was saying, you know, sometimes you do the most expensive one first, or sometimes you do the most expensive one last, or sometimes you kind of fit in what your budget is, and so you'll do some big and some small, so you're using your budget for that year. So it's not always like a straight, you know, 1 to 10 that you do in a certain order, but it kind of helps you as a tool of figuring out which projects to do by scoring them in a consistent way, so you can see like, you know, do they impact roadways? Do they impact multiple properties? Are they on property or in structures? Like all of those different characteristics.
Right. It always comes to mind when we have mornings like today.
Yeah.
We have a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. Yes, John.
I got a question for the councilwoman that's related to stormwater. That house that got destroyed in the flood that's adjacent to Deer Creek Park. Is there any schedule? And my understanding is that was when the city said, okay, that's the one.
We bought out
2
2 properties.
I think one was that last one on Pacific Avenue before.
And do you know where those are?
So we're working with SEMA on the buyout of those properties. Buyout includes demolition, while paying the property owner and then demolition and turning it into a green space forever. And so deed restricted property, it cannot be built on anymore. Clearing title currently on it, so there are some easements that we need to clear off the title. And then the sales transaction will be completed. Once it's completed, the demolition is the next step from there, the property.
Any guesstimate on the
When-
timeframe?
In terms, I think, I'm not sure, I can get it, we're getting close. Renee Tyler is running the project. I'm helping her with it. But I can get it, not to give you a wrong estimate here, but it shouldn't take that long, I believe. It's a matter of, I think the owner initially agreed with the preliminary offer. So I think that once this title work is completed, then the next step will be pretty much closing on the property. And then the demolition generally takes about contracting. If we package the two properties together, the demolition contract will be a little bit more enticing to the contractors. And that way we can get responses a bit more quickly probably and get it all done. Seasonally, it doesn't really, it's not too weather dependent work unless it's, middle of winter or something that may impede it. I want to guess that it should be done by the winter time, but I can get a for sure schedule and share it with yourselves.
I'm assuming that's part of the stormwater management because that's creating more holding capacity.
Well, I mean, these particular properties probably, I don't know how they're figured into it, but they won't be on the list of properties to prioritize because they're already
Right.
taken care of
Hey.
with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
And where's the second one? The first one is at the dead end of Pacific.
block.
Oh, the
over.
next block over.
Mhm.
The house basically that shares the
Right,
backyard.
The program, this is the CMAS flood mitigation assistance program, has a mitigation grant program. The National Flood Insurance Program doesn't want these properties on it anymore because they are a big risk to the program. And so it's a matter of the national program getting rid of these properties. It helps our community in the sense that we take those properties out of the harm's way. In terms of how much it would help with the floodplain, it's opening up the floodplain for more storage, but that area being the other residential properties being around the area, probably that's not going to be used as much unless we can clear it, a larger section of it, of properties. But the selection of the properties is based on their claims over the years to the program, insurance claims. So these are properties that have made a lot of claims over the years, and the program doesn't find it cost beneficial anymore to be keeping paying out. That's why these are two properties that we can use these funds on.
Super.
Right. Guess moving on to old business. We have a pumpkin smash.
Yes.
Anna, were you able to run down any information?
I did speak with someone from St. Louis Composting to just make sure that they would have available a rollaway container for us, and they said that's not a problem, even if we arrange it a week prior,
Okay,
it should be available.
okay.
And they said they would send an estimate, which I need to follow up on because I hadn't received it just yet. But I let them know that we weren't sure of a date, and we would get back to them.
Right.
when we have that.
Right. Well, I think it makes sense to decide what date we want to have that. I believe Halloween is the 31st of October. And I know, Karen, you've raised the point of if we have it too soon, people don't want to get rid of their pumpkins. But if we wait too long, then they rot and people throw them in the trash. Yes, Mary?
I propose having a regular date. I'm a big fan of like the first Saturday after Halloween or whatever, because I'll remember that personally. So I'd throw that out there as a suggestion.
Right.
So Halloween is on a Thursday, so if it's the first Saturday after Halloween, this year it would be 2 days after.
It could be a different day.
So possibly the second Saturday after Halloween might be harder to
I'm trying
remember.
to remember what we did. I
Otherwise.
think we did it immediately after.
It was
Yeah,
right
that's
after
what I'm
last year.
thinking, yeah.
We
Which
never get our
was,
pumpkins.
that was on so Halloween was on a Tuesday, so that was 4 days after. I believe it was, I forget who, I know Karen, I think you were there from 10 to 12, so that's usually the busiest time.
And it wasn't overly busy, really. I think it could have been a lot busier. If we make a larger effort to get the word out, I think it might be better.
Wonder if that's an argument for the second Saturday, which is the 9th, on the assumption that we could get an article in the Webster Kirkwood Times on Thursday the 7th. Because I think they're not gonna do it on Thursday, the 31st of October. They have an article about Smash Your Pumpkins. They would do that on Halloween. That is sort of inciting something you don't actually want to have happen. But I would think in terms of a mass way to get the word out, the Webster Kirkwood Times is the best vehicle, the best tool, and I bet they would do it. And then the people who feel like they can't take the pumpkin away from the children the day after or the 2 days after, they find the 9th, the pumpkins are going to be getting kind of sad.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to even go back beyond that. We've done this for several years.
So that would be the 9th.
I'm fine with the 9th. That, anybody else have thoughts or preference?
I don't think we've ever made it official that we make it that first Saturday, but I think historically that's what we've always done. So I don't know if people have made that connection in their mind that it will be that first Saturday after Halloween. I don't have a preference other than I can be there if it's the November 2nd, but not the 9th.
I would almost say we leave it there from Saturday to Saturday, but then you have another problem last year. Was you have people that drive by and toss a sack of garbage into the pumpkins.
Oh, yeah. Can you mock it and just do it 2 sequential Saturdays? Mock it during.
No, that's,
It's an open time.
yeah.
Mhm.
I don't have a preference. Does someone want to make a motion or? I don't have anything on my calendar. I'm certainly happy either Saturday to go.
Can I ask another question? Where do we put it?
So the last year, the first couple of years we did it over at the Moss Field, the parking lot behind Moss Field. Because there was construction last year, we did it at the City Service Center. I don't know if there's a difference in turnout, at least in my anecdotal experience.
So that glass container is there now at Public Works, so
Right.
there wouldn't be room to put it back there again.
Right.
we use Moss Field again as a construction far enough along.
So it's done,
No.
right? It's done.
And you have to get permission. from the
But
school
we'd
district
have to
use
get
them.
permission
Yeah.
and they've changed the configuration now, where that road where we used to place it by the back fence is, it's not as wide open as it used to be, so, we'll have to go, do you know if there's room at this service? I know what you're talking about, the glass. I guess there's not
Is there
room for
room for
both,
another
or is there
container
additional
similar
room in the
size?
parking lot or a rollway?
Yes, but in terms of the aerial, the overhead clearance around it, I don't know how possible it is in terms of placement there. But there is room, yeah, there's an open area. It will cancel more parking spaces, but like the glass container did, and it's only for a week.
Yeah.
Well, if they dropped it off, I don't know when they would drop it off, but it's only for a couple of days.
Yeah.
A matter of getting in and out, yes.
Maybe one good thing about putting it near the glass thing is it might interest people to where that is, because they go to drop the pumpkin off.
So another thing about that though is that then they'll have nowhere to park when they pull up. Well, they'll have to go into Public Works And what they were all tending to do was stop on the street by the dumpsters so they could get their pumpkins right out of the
Some-
car and into the dumpster.
We had some that parked on the street and some that pulled in, but
But there would be no parking spaces now there for them to pull in because of the glass container and this
There's
container.
probably some.
On the side of the
There is a
long-
parking
It goes
behind.
half a block.
Oh, you mean, you're talking about behind?
No, in front, like,
Inside?
Well,
in front
street-
from like, say, from the mulch pile up to the end of the property line. That's pretty,
But
Yeah,
there's
there's-
this glass container is there.
I understand that, but it's,
Okay.
and I don't have a aerial map.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I
But
drive
it-
by it once a week and I just don't recall there being a tremendous amount of space there for the people to be driving up and have a dumpster there, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's right by the curb on the road there, so if they enter the parking lot on the back and do it that way, that would be better.
Right, that's
Prefer-
that's the issue, I think, is we would have to make sure to direct them back there and then they would be walking across the grass to
Right,
get to the,
right.
which, I mean, if we're fine with that, then, but that's what they would have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know of another solution. I kind of think Moss Field, that lot back there, it's gonna be difficult now because of the way they reconfigured it.
Mm.
Unless you have the rec center, which
You never know what's gonna be happening there.
is, right,
Yeah.
right, especially there's a football game that Friday night,
Yeah.
that place is
Right,
packed.
yeah, that's right.
Could we use the little turnaround right in front of the aquatic center or is that called that? Yeah.
Oh, you drop off
You know,
the
like-
pool.
Yeah. Just that way people can like drive in, throw it and
Check it out
then
of there.
leave. They won't have to park.
And if there's room for the
The dumpster.
container,
Yeah.
Right.
Picture.
Yeah.
The ripple glass thing is here now. But you can see that the parking goes all the way to the north.
Would
Yeah,
that be where we put the dumpster? In that second?
I would think so. This is Waymire. Here's the, looks like the mulch pile right there, but it's fairly lengthy. Piece of property.
We would just need to direct the traffic and make sure and have people walk across the grass to be able to do that.
I mean, it's
Well,
only
they can park
seven
on the same
parking
side.
spots.
There, pardon?
It's only 7 parking spots, so the 2 containers would probably take up all of them.
There won't
Parking
be any
spots?
parking spots, I tell you, John, there won't be any parking spots after that pumpkin container. So
They might be able to
Not
put
out on
along
the street.
Waymire, I'm not sure how narrow.
that gets bad there because of
Yeah.
that corner, the people, when they stop, and that we had that problem last year, even with a couple of parking spots. There
Yeah.
people stopped right on Waymire. And we had to be continually telling them, okay, go up to the other side of this dumpster, park there, turn around. And I mean, it wasn't an easy situation there.
Cause there's not a good like.
Is there another school site that's possible, like the high school or? They're used to, they have traffic flow already mapped into their,
But the high school is, they're really constrained.
yeah.
Gibbons would be good, but it's Rock Hill.
We have other straight we have the other straight-in spaces on the other side. I mean, it's all employee parking. We can restrict the employees to the other side, and if the dumpster fits,
Yeah, we're talking Saturday, right? Because where that red car is, that's employees, right? Which is, that's got to
Yes.
be 150 feet from the ripple glass. You got a series of places to park there. My kid worked at Public Works. I drove there all the damn time. And
right, there is a long curve.
yeah.
It does, I'm just looking at it does look like there's, I don't know, I forget exactly where the ripple,
It takes up probably 4 parking spots,
Four
I
parking
think,
spots.
the last thing,
Yeah.
yeah,
which leaves 3.
But it's the thing, it's further north. You've got
Right, right.
parking lot A, you got the building, and then parking lot B to the
yeah.
north.
Well, I tell you, can we agree on a date and then we can work with the city and on a location, is that
Sounds good.
acceptable to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, does someone who want to make a motion on a date?
We'll move first Saturday after holiday.
So November 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is it a 30-yarder container probably? It's one of those like similar to the glass container, so
believe
it's.
so, yeah.
Okay.
We'll see how this works and make note for future years when we have dates that come right next to or a couple of days before Halloween day or Saturday.
So one more thing that happened, I'm sorry, John, I saw your hand go up after I started talking. Last year we had some requests for it to actually be a pumpkin smash. Instead of just to throw your pumpkin in the dumpster thing, or thinking, they were coming thinking that there would be like a mallet there or something that they could, smash their pumpkin with. And so I just thought I'd bring that up. I don't know if we want to get into that or not.
We've done it.
What we did,
It's been done.
so when we had it at the Moss parking lot, people would come and they were invited. You could, kids like to, smash them on the ground, and then we would pick up the chunks and throw them in. It turned into people last year just throwing the pumpkin into the dumpster. I think smashing on the ground is perfectly acceptable as long as we pick up the pieces and don't leave it.
Sean suggested a baton.
Yes, if we have
So I'd be happy to bring it.
Yeah, I had a 16 by 20 chart. That's over all that mulch.
That's right. Would you like to volunteer your time?
I'll volunteer my part.
I would not recommend, I know there was a year that Jamie Hasselmeyer brought this giant axe. I had a group of Cub Scouts that came and helped us smash pumpkins, and you want to keep like 10-year-old kids away from it at all costs.
Definitely.
It was a bit of a magnet. So
I'm not putting that in the minutes.
to great and liability. Yeah, John.
This is a little bit of a segue, but the Ripple Glass site, is that proving to be a good site in terms of volume compared to the expectations? Does anybody know?
Any numbers?
I don't know if they've emptied it. Do you know if they've emptied it at all?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's about a third full. Seems to me like glass is going in pretty fast considering the location. Seems a little out of the way. But
Yeah, no, I've been extremely impressed with usage.
Maybe we can get them to provide an update, either, they don't have to come here, but maybe a written update on kind of what they've seen so far
oh, that's a
in terms
good
of
idea.
volumes.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting because in Kansas City, they have different bins by color, but here it's not broken up by color. And I'm just curious why that is.
I don't know if Kirkwood still is, but Kirkwood used to be broken out by color too.
And I remember in the olden days, the argument was that made the glass more valuable for recycling. And so I don't know the grand scheme of things if it matters that much, but it is curious to me that they've gone a different track here.
Yeah. It'll be worth at least sending them email, say, hey, can you provide an update on what kind of volumes?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right.
Should I sign that to someone? Or just write it down.
No, just cool. I'll check with Sean. Next item on the agenda is Eco Ed. Anything?
The last Eco Ed was the greenhouse gas inventory. It wasn't as well attended as we would have hoped, but it also wasn't a really sexy topic, I don't think.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
I thought it was a great presentation. And I think that we have a lot to learn, and I think that it's on this commission to now make recommendations about follow through. And that should be on our agenda for this year.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna, I think it'd be interesting to, I know that, I think October 15th, they'll present this to council, and then we can.
Yeah, I intend to go to that council
Worth
meeting.
digging in and seeing where we can make a difference.
And I would like to see us get council to allocate some funds for something. I know I understand this year's done.
We'll need more than
Next-
something.
I have some very definite ideas, but we don't have to talk about
That'll be helpful.
All right. And
it. Like a city energy audit for the buildings.
Sinan,
With the greenhouse gas inventory, University City, what we did was, as a follow-up to it, was a climate action plan, I think. And
Yeah.
so that was the next phase
Right.
from it. But I don't know how it's one completes, the other one begins. I'm not exactly sure, but that I remember the two went together.
right, yeah,
Makes
that's
a
good
lot
to
of
help
sense.
have your experience from U City since
Yeah.
you guys, I think U City was the first municipality that I could think of that.
We were, yeah, with Washington University.
Anyway, EcoEd, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
EcoEd, we've already started thinking about next year, and one of our first presentations, if not our first, will be on composting. Because we are hoping that if that grant comes through, then it will be time to kickstart the grant work at that point. So it would be March or April. But this is just assuming that we're gonna go ahead with EcoEd next year. I haven't talked with Carrie and Corin
Okay,
yet.
I mean, I think even absent green space, something I think sustainability could take on its own if we chose to do that.
We could, yeah, I would need help.
We can change the number of sessions.
Yeah,
And there's one more, right, this year?
yes, there's
Yes.
one more this year, that's right, thank you. Just remind me of that.
I'm excited
gonna be out of
because
town, so
It's a little bit earlier, so I might be able to hit that and come.
it's November 1st.
October 1st.
October 1st,
At
right.
Larson Park.
Yeah, and I'll be out of town for that one. But that one is a green space, they're doing that one.
Right.
It's in Larson
a-
Park.
Larson Park, it's like a
and it's-
waterway.
Yeah, it's watershed wonder is what they call it.
David Wilson, yeah, the presenter, is a former East West Gateway professional from the
Okay.
region.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. John,
I think the EcoEd series can be really helpful on a couple of projects that we do have sort of in the pipeline as the Sustainability Commission. One is solar rebates. Because I think if I was on the city council, I would look a little funny at our commission if we asked for more money if we hadn't spent what we got. And we have a chunk of money that on the solar side, but most human beings who live in Webster Groves know nothing about this opportunity as a way to add solar. And I think, given the Fed cutting the interest rate, that makes solar energy more affordable, because my understanding was one of the things that sort of helped crater the market was the high interest rates made construction more expensive. And I'm not sure that that's true, but that's my understanding of the market. And it seems to me that having a session in solar rebates, not unlike what we did maybe at Olive and Oak with where we had people, residents who already had solar, talk about their experience, had installers talk about their experience. Seems to me that would be really helpful. It seems to me EVs would fit into that, electric vehicles, because I believe, isn't the city going to announce locations for electric vehicle charging stations soon?
I know we put in another grant for more.
But it seems to me that is something that's relevant to a number of people in the city. And the last thing I thought is a session with waste management and Ripple Glass, because I'm concerned that people's understanding of how to divvy up their trash between the recycling bucket and the trash bucket is not as robust as we want it to be. But given that people don't have an access to education on that, it's hard to blame them. And I have been trying to figure out myself what waste management's performance is. What are they finding in terms of how much of the single stream is ruined? How much can they actually use? And I could not figure out where they do their sorting. And I called City Hall and they said, We don't know. I'm thinking, shit, you're paying them like, dude, like,
We were actually, the gentleman was with us today, Todd from Waste Management. He explained, they send it to Republic Services, their
Okay,
Hazelwood
Hazelwood.
facility, yes. Yeah, but then what they cannot process for them, they take it back. Their major facility near here is outside of Chicago, they said. So I don't know how economic it is for them to, ship it back out there that way. But major processing happens at the Hazelwood Republic Services facility for our recyclables.
could we get a tour of that facility and have Don Corrigan from the Webster Kirkwood Times come with and write an article that says something along the lines of use the single stream recycling because it actually does get recycled. It doesn't just get dumped in a big hole, hopefully. Because it seems to me that would be a way to do mass public education at a scale.
Sinan, is Todd, is this the gentleman who lives in Webster? There was about, I'm thinking it was 5 or 6 years ago, we had someone from Waste Management who was a Webster resident present to the commission. It was really enlightening, and he oversaw like all of recycling from North America for Waste Management, and he happened just to live here and be this real expert. And I know at the time we talked about the idea of doing a tour. I think might have been COVID that put the kibosh on that, but it would be great to have him back. I think it is one of the more informative presentations I've been a part of on that topic. So
Yeah, and I think it'd be a great eco-ed series because I bet if you did it, I don't know if we ever surveyed the city, but I bet if you did a survey, a lot of people would say, "Oh, that's just all going into a big trash."
we did a campaign. I still have we did work with I think it was the city and Waste Management. We circulated refrigerator magnets for people.
Oh yeah,
These big things
I got it.
to help know where to sort, how to sort things. But that came out of this this commission. But to just try to educate people, but it's not that I can kind of do these things every so often just to try to revisit the topic.
Sort of friendly build on your idea, John, of using eco-ed to promote things we're already doing. Maybe we could cover more than one topic as well. I'd like January to be like State of the Union, State of the Commission, like this is what we're working on. Maybe we'll get people interested in one topic, but we'll hear about all of them, or it could be because an hour is a long time to fill on a single topic. And if we basically want to make people aware of our agenda, maybe we could stack topics.
Group of Glass could go with waste.
A bit easier said than done here, and I recognize this makes for a complicated agenda, but just this idea of we could spend the whole year talking about the things we're already doing. There wouldn't be room for new topics. So how do you balance that?
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of interest in doing public education, and there are so many topics we could cover, and it is a lot of work, I know, to put these together and publicize them and try to get people out. But we can talk about how we do that and how many, if we want to take on a bigger role or have more people involved in holding these, because I think I've loved the sessions I've been to, all of them have been really interesting. So it'd be great to do as many as we can.
Yeah, I think the academic ones that we've had, Mary, I don't think that any of those people have had any trouble filling their hour.
Okay.
They usually have so much to say, and then there are generally a lot of questions.
Okay, great.
But there are times when it would be really appropriate to do that, I think. And Joan's idea is certainly one of those.
As a citizen, I might go to the one that's going to tell me what we're working on in that year, and that might be the only one I'd go to if I wasn't on the commission. So.
Right.
And that will be a good opportunity to cover multiple topics too.
Right, even maybe we present it. You don't have to bring a guest. Just a thought. I'm ready to.
All right, next on the agenda is composting subcommittee. Any
Yeah.
news?
Well, the news is that we submitted the grant, so that's
Right, congratulations.
big hurdle to get over. And that was on September 4th, and we wait until January now, so We won't know anything for quite a while.
Right. And this was with USDA, correct?
That's right, yeah. The USDA Composting and Food Waste Reduction Cooperative Agreement. It was a really successful collaboration, I would say, between multiple partners. In order to get the grant, well, really to develop the plan and then get the grant written. And I just want to applaud all of the people who worked really hard on it, including Councilmember Bliss and Karen and Sean Finnegan, and representatives from Earth Day 365 and Mobot, as well as Webster Ministries.
Yeah, that is a lot of.
Yes.
Big tent.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Out of moving parts.
So would the city be the grantee then?
exactly.
Okay.
And then. It is possible that we may get the grant, but USDA will make recommendations that they accept some things that we proposed, but not others, so hopefully we'll get something. And I think the proposal is something that even if we don't get this grant, we can adapt to apply for other grants that are available from the St. Louis Jefferson Solid Waste Management District or St. Louis County. I don't know if it's the health department or just St. Louis County itself somehow, but they offer some grants as well that might be applicable.
Okay, great. All right, Historic Preservation Commission collaboration, how have you had a chance at all
Yeah.
the?
So I met with, names are my worst part, Angela, I think is her name. And the gist of it is that through what they've observed both through historic preservation and I think her time as well on ARB, thank you, was that they found a lot of folks are when they're improving their properties, they're wanting to do the sustainable or eco-friendly choices. They just face a real desert of information to do so. And so they found that as the commissions were offering advice, folks were really eating it up. Of course, at that point, it's kind of teething. So that's sort of the problem. The idea in general was looking for ways to kind of provide a curated resource for folks to access early in the planning cycles for their updates or rebuilds or what have you. That might help them make more eco-conscious choices should they want to do that. The way that we kind of workshops coming around to doing this was kind of twofold. One, either something analogous to EcoEd, speaker series on these various topics, or maybe part of EcoEd for that matter. And then the other idea was either again separate or woven within a resource repository hosted perhaps on the city website. Details of how you would do that, I need to work out with Sean. But to just provide on-demand access for folks to be able to get that information. That's the gist of it.
Okay.
So we agreed, at least the two of us, that it probably makes sense to continue exploring the collaboration. I admit I am pretty uncertain as to what qualifies for a subcommittee and what doesn't, and what the best way to go forward is. So I welcome the group's discussion and feedback there. But that's where we got to.
Okay.
So I think it's enough for comment.
Okay. Yeah, so I know that when this came up at the last meeting, there was some talk about and I think the example was given of replacing the original windows that came on a historic home with vinyl windows in the name of saving energy. What's the calculus there? And I definitely see value that more information is better than less. But do we have like an authoritative source on?
So that's one of the biggest challenges that I see, I think, is that particularly trying to find expertise in those realms, right? One of the usually those folks are coming with an agenda, right? And so, whether it would be a personal recommendation or certainly on an implicit recommendation on behalf of the city, that's a conflict of interest problem. We need to think through how to go do that. Don't know how to do that yet. This doesn't lend itself to academic solutions in ways that some of the eco-ed topics do. Pretty much everybody here has something they're trying to sell you, so. I don't know how to solve that.
Do you think the folks involved in the architecture review board might have ideas? Or, you know,
Yeah, so. Yes, I think is the short answer. I think, most of them, again, are gonna come from the vendor community, even with the, at least that's what I understood. A lot of the ARB suggestions are gonna come from vendors that do that kind of thing, right? And so you still always will have the question of, is it true, or are they trying to sell it to me, or is it both? There are some folks that are just genuinely they're not trying to push their service in the process. They're just, it's not really enough to fill an entire year's worth of speaker series, for example. So
Right.
I see.
Question, what is the sort of project that people are most talking about? Is it solar? Is it HVAC stuff? Is it building envelope? Like,
it seems to be all over the map. The examples that have come up the most often seem to be things like Windows, HVAC, and then the idea of how to go about reusing or reclaiming material. If you're doing a submitting a remodel, for example, right? How or can you reclaim or reuse some of those materials, right? So like if I think about the city of St. Louis, one of the examples that's really easy to go reuse are the bricks on some of those old homes, right? There's a whole repository of just old bricks you can go get if you want to chip off all the border and all this stuff, right? It's not free from a labor standpoint, but it have to make more bricks, right? So those are it's a pretty broad spectrum of things that come up.
Did the Green Building Alliance come up?
No.
Because they're trying to resource the region with
Sure.
non-sales neutral, how do
Yeah.
you get to LEED certified all the way down to like other kinds of
So
things.
you're like, yeah.
Right. So I would imagine there's a trade-off, at some point, somebody, like, if I need new windows, maybe I want to go with the cheapest option versus, I'm sure maybe if I went with,
Yeah. So we talked about too, maybe some of the earlier pieces of it is less specific about design or build choices, right? And more just generalized about things to consider, right? So where do you draw the boundaries in your accounting system from a greenhouse gas standpoint? And recognize that for a lot of folks, the economics of the situation are gonna come into this too, right? Near term is gonna matter more for a lot of folks than benefits 10 years down. So, I think some of the more basic education ideas we had spitballed. Maybe that's a reasonable place to start. And certainly don't want to convey that we have a format or proposals scratched out. But just wanted to get really we're at the okay, this seems like something that's worth considering a little more deeply, right? How do we go to do that? How do we go about considering it more deeply is the question, right? So other folks they maybe like to join the conversation. Does it need to be more formally chartered, for lack of a better description? Those sorts of logistics, administrative questions.
I mean, my personal thought is just like Karen. I don't know if you participate, if they discuss eco-ed at the green space meetings, okay, they do. I mean, they could host the meeting and one of us or two of us could go participate in that versus creating a separate subcommittee that would then need to I mean, it's kind of their idea. I kind of think if they want to host it and
Is it joint between the two commissions or is it their thing?
Well, so they kind of wanted a joint arrangement, or at least to borrow, excuse me, two things came really from us. One is just the topic overlaps with sustainability, right? So they wanted to make sure that everybody was all under the same tent, so to speak. And then their initial idea was more along the lines of strictly eco-ed based, in which case they wanted some help on how to do that right the first time without having to learn any of the same lessons we did or that sort of thing. So that's why they came to us.
And who's they?
The Historic Preservation Commission.
It seems to me that would be a great eco-ed topic because one, there's a lot of federal money available, but it's very specific how you can use it. Ground source heat pumps as one, for example, or solar rebates or blah, 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 blah. But it seems to me just having an event there where you've got a couple of professionals who can say, okay, here's hot water heaters where there's federal dollars to help draw down the cost and that are energy efficient. Or here's what you can get in terms of insulation or solar or whatever, because it's a lot. There's a lot of federal dollars available, but it's very prescriptive about what you can use it for, and it doesn't work for everybody. But it works for a number of people.
I mean, my personal thought is we want to continue on. I think I see value in doing that. I don't know that I'm almost sort of like let them take the next step in terms of kind of organizing it and running it rather than running it as a part of sustainability. Since it was their idea. Historic preservation came to us with the idea of collaborating on some sort of public education effort. This was last meeting. But I do think there are a lot of questions. I mean, I do see where there are a lot of questions that where it might make sense whether under the rubric of eco-ed or a similar type public event where we answer questions as long as we kind of get word out.
Kind of share like how you get it in the paper, how you get it on the calendar, like that type of information would be helpful. Because I think eco-ed mostly doesn't run in the winter, right? Like, so
Right.
We do 6 sessions.
maybe they want to do additional sessions in the off season or something like that,
Right.
but could learn from on how that works.
Right.
Is it now 6 sessions every other month, or is it 6 sessions?
No, we
And
just.
half the year.
Half a year, would start in April and end in, I guess this one's October, 6 months.
So I guess I didn't really hear it. It seemed like everybody seems to think it's a smart topic to pursue. They pick up on it and decide if I got that wrong, just correct me.
No, I think.
And then I think the other consensus item I heard was feedback to Angela's, let them lead the charge and we can provide some support as
Right.
requested. Right.
Yeah, I think that
works for me.
But I'm gonna try to keep us to an hour as possible. So first of all, one item under old business that sort of informally I need to find here is red bags. I won't go into the history of this, but there's a bag collection at the rec center and Anna's been carrying the weight of going over there every week and emptying it out. We're gonna revisit this at the next meeting, but the next month, is anybody willing to go collect those? Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
It's right inside the entrance to the rec center.
That's
There's a
right.
cardboard box, people stuff.
Yeah.
All sorts of
Just to
things.
the right, yeah. And
Is there still one here too?
I think we got rid of the one here.
Okay.
should I work with you on just details, like, am I?
And we'll figure out, because we've discussed this at past meetings about, does it make sense to still have that? Because it just become a catch-all for plastic bag recycling that is already available elsewhere.
Yeah, you see a lot of Schnucks bags in there.
Yes. All right, I guess next under, new business is, the city hosted a meeting for commission chairs and vice chairs last Wednesday or Thursday, I'm trying to remember what day of the week it was. John attended in person, got free pizza, and I zoomed in. The bulk of what was talked about had to do with open meetings and open records, Missouri Sunshine Law. And I'll save you there's I'm gonna get the name wrong. On the city's website, and I can send everyone a link, there's a board and commission member handbook that John has a copy of. That there's a digital copy available, and especially for new members, if you haven't seen that, it's worth looking at. This was a resource that was not available when I joined sustainability, so it's really a handy explainer on open records, open meetings, and just the role of commissions. This one being an advisory commission, and how to formally propose things to the city council. So it's just sort of a good guidebook that is really a good resource for everyone. The gist of the discussion on the Sunshine Law was you can't deliberate via email. So, we can't say, hey, there's a vote coming up, how's everyone gonna vote? That violates the Sunshine Law. If it's, hey, we have a reminder, we have a meeting coming up next week, that's perfectly okay. When in doubt, I think copy the city clerk, Katie Oxano, just to make sure. I don't anticipate a lot of this becoming an issue, but if that something were to become an issue, and someone would FOIA or seek access to public records, we would like.
Are subcommittee meetings included in this?
Subcommittee meetings, I asked that question. I think, I think if you're going to be, the idea is if it's just a couple of people, like, if Matt's talking to the chair of historic preservation, I don't think if there's decisions being made and it's a formal meeting among many members, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and agenda that. We've operated city subcommittee meetings with like 2 or 3 people just to sort of brainstorm where we have not noticed a meeting. But certainly if you have a quorum, you need to, and if they're going to be discussing anything substantive, you do. But if Matt and I or Amna and I get together for coffee, we don't need to do that. But bounce something to me, bounce something to the city clerk. If you have any questions, or Councilmember Bliss. There are a lot of gray areas, but I think the bottom line, I think that they're trying to get across this meeting is you can't ask everybody how they're going to vote on something. If there's a vote coming up at an agenda meeting, that's seen as sort of predetermined. We don't want to do that out in public.
Lots of blind copying.
Right.
You have to email the whole group, blind copy people, so they're not reply alls, and you're not like continuing a conversation like you said. So it was hard for me to adjust to, because at work, like, you can include however many people you want and get stuff done over email, but for city business, it all has to be sunshineable.
Right.
And what was a quorum? Is it half plus one?
Half plus one, I believe, is quorum.
But a lot of our groups have an odd number, so for city council, it's 4. Which is of 7, 4 of 7 would be a quorum.
So what's a quorum for us?
5. Well, and Andre's leaving, so we'll have 8, so then it'll be 4. until we get a replacement. I think if you have an even number, I believe it's half.
Okay.
You need to double check that.
So like, in other words, if
Five of us were on a subcommittee talking about, we did a subcommittee where we discussed proposing the bike lane on Lockwood. And we public noticed that meeting so that people could, because we know, there's, first of all, there's many of us on, and we were gonna come propose something formally to the commission and then later propose it to the city. So, but, so I draw that's one end of the spectrum, and then, John, you and I have coffee at Mayhawk and talk. We don't even notice that. So
the key thing is the quorum in terms of
the quorum and,
face to face.
right, if it's a formal meeting, I would say, or we're gonna, get 3 or 4 people together to discuss something formally. I would then make a notice, make a public notice out and say we're gonna discuss it.
On that note, since this is public record, I forgot to thank a couple more people within city leadership who were really essential to the whole process of the composting grant. Dr. Peoples and Eric, and I don't know his last name. Peterson. They actually were the ones who submitted the grant.
Right.
And had a lot of experience with it and really scrutinized everything. I mean that in the most positive way possible. To just make sure that it was going to be feasible and approvable from the USDA's perspective. So their assistance was essential, and I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank them.
And super important because the city's the grantee, right?
Yes. Yeah. Without their approval, we couldn't have submitted it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good, right? They're on the hook for it.
And so next time we do a grant, we'll change the process a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. And so they're in the loop a little bit earlier.
Yes.
This one came about really strangely. Mobot said they would do the heavy lifting, and then all of a sudden.
Okay, all right, well, with that, the next item is setting the next meeting, which, we have October and September. It's October 21st. Which is the third Monday. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Hey.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. No, we didn't. Want to switch phone numbers? Sure. We can talk now if you want. If I have a question, I'll do it.
Thank you. Almost.
Right, keeping it, I know. that's
Try, we
nice.
try our
It's a
best.
good meeting.
Just to-
Oh, exactly. So from what I understand, how Ripple came to be is because Kansas City